My name is Jonah Jonathan, and welcome once again to the Jazz Musician's Voice. I'm doing an interview today with two of the young up-and-coming musicians in this music, Abel Mireles and Peter Lin, both really talented guys who were also fellow alumni of William Paterson University. I'm really pleased to speak with them, and they're also entrepreneurs. They've got businesses, and they're at the forefront of live streaming this music, especially during the coronavirus times. So I highly recommend you check out this interview, check out both of these guys. Really pleased to talk with them, and I imagine we'll see a lot more of them in the years to come. So please subscribe, like this video, share, stay tuned, because we have a lot more future interviews coming in the coming weeks.
Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, today I'm pleased to speak with two former alumni of William Paterson University, which is where I went for my bachelor's degree, Peter Lin and Abel Mireles. Both of these guys are very talented musicians who also lead interesting lives in the music business aspect. And, they're also the forefront of live streaming jazz right now. They have the company together called Yardbird Entertainment, where two of them work. So thank you guys for being part of this series. We talked about you a little bit this summer with Vernon Schwartz. He was mentioning the two of you on his record. He was very proud to have you both be part of his record. So thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jonah.
Thank you, man. Yeah, thanks for bringing us on the show.
Yeah, so let's start with your backgrounds. Before we talk about live streaming and the future of jazz, Peter, you were finishing up William Paterson about the same time as me. I think I was maybe a couple years ahead, but we played in similar circles, and you've got some of the great, you've got Oscar Williams on some stuff, you've got Nick Chopo. Those are all my brethren from William Paterson. So how did you get started playing jazz, and where are you from originally?
So I grew up in northern New Jersey. I was actually born in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, but I was only there for a year. And so, we all moved to New Jersey, Whippany, New Jersey specifically, where I grew up, suburbs more west, northern west area. And, kind of grew up with more classical music, in that household. Like my parents didn't know anything about jazz or anything like that. So I actually started on violin, doing the Suzuki method when I was really young. And those who play violin know what the Suzuki method is, for the most part, mostly training by ear. And so I had a lot of, good training playing violin for a while, and then picked up trombone the same time as most kids do when they grow up in typical school settings, like fourth grade band. They're like, trombone fits you best. And I just said, okay, sure. Why not? So I went with it, just continued, and really decided I wanted to do music while I was in high school. This was sophomore year of high school. And when I told my parents, they're like, oh, okay. Maybe, think about what you want to do for a living when you grow up. So that was kind of a fight for a while, but eventually my parents were like, okay, do what you love kind of vibe. Went to William Paterson, for jazz studies, same as you, Jonah. And then, yeah, I would just say that's, graduated in 2011. I might get my years mixed up here, but then I also went to Rutgers University for graduate school as well, and been working at Jazz House Kids, a nonprofit here in Montclair, New Jersey, for a while. So that's just a short history.
I also went to Rutgers for my master's in jazz history and research.
Okay.
In Newark with Lewis Porter, and I remember when I was at William Paterson. They kind of worked closely with Rutgers, and we got to go to the library and see that whole extensive thing. But I want to talk to you about like your background. We do have some similarities in common, actually, because I'm what you would say Sudanese American. My dad's from the Sudan.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
I have a different background than many people, like a multicultural background. And I know you are a Taiwanese American, So I totally get what you're talking about. From any of my friends who are from Asia, the parents really want you to excel and probably were against you having a career as a musician,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I think a lot, basically it's I think it's like a kind of a commonality between immigrant parents specifically, because they want to see you secure. They want to see you succeed. They want to make sure that everything's cool with your family when you're older, And so a lot of it is more like they don't want you to do it. It's more like, they just know that based off of history of like, okay, well, their nephew or like their brother did this, so you should do it too. Like that's kind of the what happens, especially in the East Asian culture. It's like, well, your cousin does it this way, so you should do it that way as well. Like he was a doctor, he did well. So yeah, it's definitely something that is pretty common. But my parents are from Taiwan, from Mexico, so yeah, it's a different.
Man, you don't get to talk about me, man. I got my own spot, okay?
Okay, all right. Just saying, we have commonalities, as
Yeah,
I guess like first, second generation,
Yeah, let's talk about that, Abel. I'm not sure if we met in person before, but we kind of follow in the same path. You seem to have gone to William Paterson after me, after I left,
Yeah.
So, where are you from originally? And how did you end up coming to William Paterson?
Yeah, so I was born in Mexico, in this Ciudad Juarez, Chihuahua, which is right across the border from El Paso, Texas. We all know about El Paso lately on the news. We're being kind of a red zone right now with COVID, unfortunately. Yeah, so I spent, before moving out here to New Jersey to attend William Paterson for my master's. I was in El Paso for about 10 years, developing my career, trying to play with people, doing different things. I come from a family of musicians, basically, on my mom's side and my dad's side. It did take me a little while to really pick the path of music, until I was maybe 13 years old, that, I was seeing everybody. It was kind of like I was kind of rejected a little bit to a certain extent, and then one day it just clicked, and that was it. So, when I was in high school, when I was in middle school, I started going to music school after school, basically. And in Mexico, the music programs are not as strong or established as one would want, basically. I got through I got older brothers that they were already in the path of music, so I wanted to follow the steps as well. So then, anyways, when I graduated high school, I decided I wanted to do music, and there was no music degree in my city, so I either had Mexico City or I had across the border in El Paso. So, imagine just an international student trying to pay tuition in dollars and making pesos is not the most ideal situation. But it just happened that my dad helped me out with the first semester. And then after that, I was, working on the summers and, playing, basically forcing myself to just play gigs for a living. So I started playing gigs since I was like 16 years old, so, just for money already. And anyways, I was in El Paso for a while. I did my undergrad there at the University of Texas at El Paso, and that's where I met my wife. We were part of the scene for a long time, and her parents, my wife's parents, Candace Reyes, they're musicians, so the whole community of musicians in El Paso know us. And then after we got married and I was teaching there, but we were both music teachers, I decided that I wanted to do my master's, and I had the crazy idea to come over here to New Jersey and do it. So,
believe it or not, a week ago I did an interview with Jerry Lopez, who's a friend of mine. I don't know if
I saw that, man. Yeah, he's from town.
Yeah, so he's from he's from similar area, but he went the other route. He went to Mexico City.
That's right. Yep.
So there are very many talented players out of Mexico, and they do make those two different decisions, either to go to the U.S. or to come to the United States.
Right, or Mexico City, or yeah.
Yeah, and something that I was talking about with Jerry, that I would assume probably you might deal with too, is like with all these new Netflix films out, people are experiencing the racism about like the drug cartels and all of that. Like, I would assume for you, Peter, there is issues as well, being an Asian playing this music. Unfortunately, we had a great pianist who got beaten up recently.
I know.
That's right.
That story. I know him, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he was in my band for a while, and it was a tragedy for sure, in many ways. Yeah. In many ways.
We run into this concept in the United States quite a bit these days, like someone who's different from the norm, they don't like it, And
right.
The only way that we can, as musicians, or as people in general, overcome that is by finding things in common with our fellow brethren and finding the things we do
It's true.
get along with and breaking those stereotypes. I think the three of us are all doing that. We're successful in our crafts, and it's only through people like us that you get over that racism,
Right. Yeah.
But upon graduating for you, Peter, you worked on many projects with the Lintets. You did some cool recordings and pretty unique concept of comic books combined with your recording. I haven't seen that done in the music before. That was pretty unique. So I guess talk about that a little bit for you, and then I'll get back to you, Abel.
Yeah. So the Lintet was the first, I guess you could say, band that I formed during my time at William Paterson. One of the things I've always been interested in is cultivating the community that's kind of like around me. And when I was at William Paterson, I definitely saw a lot of unique talent. I mean, a lot of people talk about Juilliard, right? Manhattan School of Music, but like William Paterson's got this vibe, and it's kind of it's I think because of the time at the time, Mulgrew Miller was there as well, and that was he helped to cultivate that musical community. But yeah, so I had a larger group that consisted of, as we mentioned before, Oscar Williams, Nick Cachopo, Dasul Kim, Benjamin Kovacs, Charlie Sigler, Zach Gillespie. Yeah, it was kind of like a little bit of everyone was inside that group. And we played at, some local clubs and just tried to do the same thing I think most of emerging musicians try to do, get as many gigs as possible and try to do something. And at that time, most of the people that were supporting me, I think a lot of people can relate, is mostly my friends and family. And, seeing how like my family, I'm trying to like connect my family to the music because they're not familiar with jazz at all, right? And so for me, the idea that I came up with was, let me try to take these Taiwanese folk songs and put them in a jazz context, right? And so that was the result of my first album called With Respect, which featured, the Lintet, but also featured some of the other musicians I was playing with at the time that I really appreciated, like Winard Harper and James Zolar, Anthony Ware, Anthony Nelson Jr. So that was like a lot of fun to put together. And then after that was TNT Quartet, which was basically a reduced sized trombone, tenor, bass, and drums, no chords. I just really liked the sound and the concept of it. And that band had J.D. Allen, Ian Kenslar, and Nick Cachopo in that group. And at that time, I was just really into writing original music. So, that album itself is pretty much all original music. And the idea I had was, well, I really like anime. I really like manga. What happened if I just made like a comic book about jazz musicians? Because there was actually like one out there, but it wasn't like really real. You know what I mean? It was like kind of just like, oh yeah, they play jazz and cool. I wanted something that was kind of reflective of what it's like to be a jazz musician in New York City. So that was a lot of work to try to put together. I never put together any comic book. I'm not an artist myself. I had someone else draw it for me, illustrate.
You ever heard of, I'm sure you're familiar with George G and the George G Orchestra.
Yes,
so,
very much so.
Interesting thing, they got featured, I think it was, I don't know if it was Spider-Man or if it was one of the comic shows they got drawn, and it's featured like on a TV show, George G. Orchestra.
Oh, no kidding. Oh, wow.
In comics,
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty cool. And you you're a talented guy. You're playing with a lot of people. I mean, you go on your website and the first thing there is like you playing with John Legend on stage. And so talk about some of your projects. And I listened on your website. You've got some music on there. It's really great,
No, thanks, man. Yeah. Well, the whole journey of really just moving from a place like El Paso to a place like the area of New Jersey and New York City, it was definitely like a culture shock too. And then obviously the level and the amount of people that are here that are trying to do what you're trying to do musically to a very high level was definitely something that it took a while to get used to. Especially, at the age that my wife and I moved, we were not high school kids or, we were already trying to do our thing. We were working. So yeah, I mean, it's been a very interesting journey and, a lot of good things, playing with, just going to jam sessions with William, with Winard Harper and just meeting the community of William Paterson and going to the city and checking out some of these gigs, some of these performances at different clubs in New York City really changed the whole perspective of things in my end. And one of the projects that we, I have my band, and actually before moving over here, I actually recorded something that I still have on the shelf that I'm working on it. But so hopefully I could get that out pretty soon. But one of the projects that we were able to continue from El Paso was the Candace Reyes Quintet, which is my wife's band. That's basically how we met. And we actually had a chance to record something with her band, and we had as a special guest Christian McBride. So that's one of the projects that we are, very happy. We were happy to put out there for sure. I had the chance to produce it myself, and I really got a little bit of the taste of what that is, and really fell in love with it. And so I'm doing productions. And then as far as gigging, it's been a fortune, really, just to have connected with the right people, to do some of the gigs like you mentioned, this high-end, opportunities that you only get if you're in a place like this, like that's one of the main things that I've noticed is like, I would never really thought of doing, national TV or whatever. If I was in El Paso, that would have been completely out of the picture, so so yeah, man, I mean, but it's been just like a blessing just knowing this guy, and then just getting into the rehearsal roster list of the subs, and just going and showing up on time and doing what you're supposed to do, and then all of a sudden you just get the calls. So it's been a very interesting thing, obviously, with this year. All those gigs that we had are gone, right? So we'll see what 2021 brings.
Well, it's so great stuff the two of you guys have been doing. But yes, we are facing quite a bit with the coronavirus. And this is something I'll be discussing with more and more musicians over time. But I'm just seeing not a good direction for this music or for jazz, like the way these people are out on the streets basically begging for money, putting a donation thing for tips,
right,
for a practice session, like not putting on a presentation, wearing thug clothes or not good clothes. Like I always, it always struck me with jazz was like, these are well-dressed cats who know what they're doing,
Right.
That was always the thing about jazz. As soon as you start taking that away, it's like, geez, like that's an unfortunate thing we see. So we should go into, for a few minutes, this is something that we'll be talking about more privately, but you guys are doing some of these live streams, and this is the future for jazz. For anybody watching this, this will be the way that jazz continues, through live streams and through the online community, through Zooms and through interviews and stuff, because coronavirus is not the only thing we'll be facing. We'll be facing climate change. We'll be facing more epidemics. We'll be facing all sorts of things in the coming 50 to 100 years. So, it's up to us youngsters to figure out how can we continue to make this music work into the future, So talk about these live streams you guys are doing.
Yeah, I'll just give a short background about Yarborough Entertainment, because we have been focusing more on the audio, video, and live stream productions more recently. But the reason we started Yarborough Entertainment, this was about 2 or 3 years ago. Abel and I were actually working together. I had the pleasure of meeting Slide Hampton. He lives very close to me, and worked closely with him for 2 years. I was there almost every day. And so one of the things that we wanted to do with Slide Hampton was, hey, his big band music has, it's been a while since it's been featured. It's been a while since it's been appreciated at the same level as other composers and arrangers. So, we tried putting together the Slide Hampton Big Band. We had like a little team of people that were really interested in just being a part of it. And so, Abel and I got to work together very closely through that project, helping to organize the music and the rehearsals. And, this is something that we're like, wow, let's work together on something to see what we can do for the music community that's around us. That was something we were really interested in. So what ended up happening is we started Yardbird Entertainment, which originally was just for live music bookings for different events. Mostly at that time, it was more like corporate stuff and weddings and, some club dates kind of stuff. And so we were doing that for a good while, about 2 years. And, once March hit, that's like when everything closed down, right? And so all the gigs that we had, both personal and through this company, was all gone, all disappeared, And so we had to think fast because, we both knew that, we had to change the way that the company was kind of fashioned at that point. So we knew that audio and video was something that we were already dabbling in ourselves. We had, some equipment of our own, and we were actually recording our artists so that it was easier to book them to certain clients. So, using those skills, we were able to transition into more into this realm and start working with some organizations that we have worked with in the past, more through music, but now more as an AV company. So, Abel, you want to talk about some of the, organizations we've been working with?
Yeah, so basically, as Peter was mentioning, we were making those videos and creating content for our artists, and then when this whole thing hit, we started doing more of this, creating content remotely and all those different things. I remember we did a couple projects, and then that really brought the attention from some of the organizations that we're working on right now with, like Jazz House Kids. They saw that we could do some of the split screenings and all these different things, and they reached out to us, say, "Hey, we have this virtual thing." Like many organizations that were faced with this thing that they couldn't do their concerts live, that they couldn't do their rehearsals and all that. So basically, we started, cultivating this relationships with Jazz House Kids. We made sure that we put our effort in making these videos look and sound good, and then we started working with the National Jazz Museum in Harlem too, which is one of our main things that we're doing too as well. We actually just had the ability to help them with their third Crip Collective concert, and we actually had Jasmine Horn and Keith Brown doing like a hybrid event between pre-recorded stuff and live on site. So we actually went to the studio, and we had up to a 4 camera setup, and we so we were doing like a whole live stream situation. It's a whole presentation, but so that's how we started working with different organizations. We also work with Midori and Friends, which is this organization based in the city. They usually would provide in person the music lessons and stuff. They had a big roster of teaching artists, and they also had to restructure themselves to provide online content. So this is where we came in, and we started saying, look, this is some of the options that you have, let us help you. So that's what we started doing. So it's a lot of now we're on the computer all day, man,
Yeah, it's a lot of people don't realize this, but there's a lot of work that goes into video production. Mm-hmm. People think it's very easy until they start figuring out that you've got to be on the software, and you've got to deal with making the sound sync up, and you've got to edit it, and you've got to have the processing power, and you've got to take the time, and you've got to do all of that. There's a lot of magic that goes behind the scenes. You cannot just do this stuff simple as record,
That would be nice, though.
Yeah, that would
be nice. But, it takes work. And, thank you guys for talking about this. People can check you guys out, Abel Mireles, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Peter, you are Lintet, right? Lintet.com.
That one actually the needs to go back up. It was taken down for a while for some other reasons. So, but either way, they can go to the yardbird.com. Yeah,
Yardbird
if you want to check out.
Entertainment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, great.
We
guys.
actually have a live stream coming up, so I don't know if you can mention.
Talk about the live stream coming up.
So this Saturday we have one of our artists, Alex Parchment, a great trumpet player. He's going to be playing at the Brightside Tavern in Jersey City, and this is a virtual concert series that we're curating at the moment, and we're trying to move away from platforms like Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and trying to make it so that the monetization is directly going into the right hands. And so we have a little part of our website that people can go to, yardbird.com/virtual-concerts. And then what they can do is it's a pay-per-view live stream. So for $10, they get a really high quality live stream that they can actually access for 48 hours past the live stream as well. So it's happening this Saturday, November 28th, 1 to 3 p.m. But people can watch it all the way until Monday. I believe that'll be 3 p.m. So, if they buy a ticket, it'll grant them access to the performance. So,
right. Thanks for speaking with us, guys. We will follow you in the years upcoming. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, man, and congratulations for all the work you do, man.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is awesome.
For a while, and that really just provides a lot of value to the community, man.